Peace Walker contains an assembly of two AI pods. One of them is the mammal pod, which Dr. Strangelove developed. The other's the reptile pod, which is mine.
What's the difference?
The reptile pod is the attitude control AI. If it's destroyed, Peace Walker grinds to a halt. The mammal pod is responsible for making the decisions regarding nuclear retaliation, reflex, and thought. One is the brainstem and cerebellum, the other the cerebrum.
So, the one that houses the will of the boss
would be the mammal pod. We call it the reptile pod for a reason. The parts of our brains that govern basic life and reflex developed ages ago, when our ancestors were still reptiles.
We were reptiles?
Well, only at one stage of our evolution. The theory was proposed by the neuroscientist Paul MacLean.
Huh.
The reptile brain corresponds to the brainstem and basal ganglia in our brain. The reptile pod also incorporates the functions of the cerebellum.
So basically, it's the deep parts of the brain.
Dr. Strangelove came up with the name. The part of our brain that developed after we became mammals is responsible for high-level brain functions.
Such as?
Such as intelligence, judgment, even love.
That's high level, all right.
Location-wise, the mammal brain is on the outside of the reptile brain. The cerebral cortex is part of it. I think it's very telling that Dr. Strangelove named her pod Mammal. It's almost like she wants it to be more than just an advanced AI. What she really wants is for it to have a mind of its own.
The river that flows between Nicaragua and Costa Rica is el Río San Juan. It connects Lago Cocibolca to el Mar Caribe. It is a gentle river, safe even for small boats. You have to watch out for the sharks, though.
Sharks? In a river?
El Tiburón Toro live in the river, but there's nothing to fear. San Juan will protect you always.
Juan?
The Rio San Juan takes its name from San Juan, the man who baptized Jesus, the man you call John the Baptist in your country.
John, huh? I'll be careful anyway. I'd hate to drown. End up a John Doe.
There is a volcanic island in Lago Cocibolca called Ometepe. It's formed from two connected volcanoes shaped like a porongo.
The one with smoke coming out of it.
That's the one. The smoking volcano is Concepcion. It erupts once in a while. The other one is Maderas. It's never erupted in recorded history. There's a lake in the caldera at the top.
A crater lake. Let's hope there's not another underground factory inside.
Don't say that. If Peace Walker's nukes detonated there, it would destabilize the magma underneath. It could cause the volcano to erupt again. If that happens, my country is doomed. Snake, you must stop Peace Walker.
What are we gonna do, Snake? If Peace Walker attacks Mother Base...
Relax. We've got the entire MSF out to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, but Peace Walker's missiles have 1 megaton warheads. The fireball alone would be a mile in diameter. Everything in the vicinity of Ground Zero will be vaporized by the heat rays. Then there's the blast, which travels at hundreds of miles per hour. And the fires, and the...
A huge dose of radiation from the initial nuclear reaction.
That too. There won't be a single survivor.
Yeah, I'm aware of that. Look, Doc, you made that thing. You know better than anybody what it's capable of. Right now, you've got to give me a rational, scientific estimate of the damage. If we're talking about a nuclear explosion, it's more than just MSF's problem.
You're right, Snake. Sorry about that. Like I was saying, Mother Base would be wiped out. Any ships in the area could be caught in the blast too. We'd need to send out a warning. The thing to worry about most is the fallout.
The dust of death.
If it goes off over water, the particles will be smaller than with an explosion over land, so the wind will scatter the fallout over a wider area. Clouds will form around the salt crystals in the seawater, causing contaminated rain to fall downwind.
Yeah, got a taste of that myself.
On Bikini Atoll? That's right. The 1954 Castle Bravo test created fallout 300 miles downwind. Poisoned a lot of local residents and ships, so I hear. The yield of Peace Walker's warheads isn't that big, but the amount of fallout will largely depend on weather conditions. It's impossible to make a quick and easy estimate.
If it gets into the trade winds, it could come straight to Costa Rica.
What was it Coldman was saying? About leaving people free to help out? He's out of his mind. What does he think's gonna happen? When they get hit by rain containing high concentrations of fallout, a lot of them will die from the external exposure alone. The rain will seep into the ground, contaminating the water supply and crops. When they ingest the stuff, the internal exposure starts. Strontium-90 and cesium-137 have half-lives of around 30 years. The effects stay with you your entire life. Leukemia, cataracts, dermatitis, cancer. And it affects reproduction, too.
I know.
Even today, 30 years after World War II, thousands of people still suffer from exposure to the bomb. We can't let Coldman create more of them just to prove his point. I know it sounds crazy, but I created Peace Walker so that that kind of thing would never happen again.
Don't worry, Doc. We'll stop it. One way or another. This Peace Walker project the CIA's talking about. You believed in it, huh?
Yeah, I believed. Actually, maybe I just wanted to believe.
What do you mean?
Here's how Coldman explained it. Peace Walker's a weapon for peace. One to ensure true nuclear deterrence. It'd be the anchor to bring stability to Central America. He told me, the nuclear weapon system you've built will never be used. It will forever stand vigil as an icon of peace. And to achieve that, he needed my bipedal locomotion technology. To be honest, I was flattered.
Flattered?
Wouldn't you be? My colleagues in the scientific community have never taken me seriously. They told me bipedal locomotion was a pipe dream, that it'd never amount to anything. It was the first time anybody recognized my work. How could I not be happy? And besides, it was my chance to surpass my father. To create nukes for peace. Or so I thought anyway.
But Coldman's really going through with it.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense, really. No one would give the project any notice unless they could prove that an unmanned system is capable of launching a nuke.
Why is Coldman going to launch a nuke? If all he wants to do is prove the AI retaliation system works, he doesn't need to put a live warhead on it.
I agree. He could demonstrate the system by launching the missile alone, without a warhead. I asked him the same thing at first. He said there was no point in using a dummy missile. That it'd take an actual nuclear launch to deter potential enemies. Launching the real deal gives him a leg up in negotiations with Langley. That's what he's really after. I based the bipedal locomotion technology used in Peace Walker on Soviet research. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I stole most of the basic ideas behind it.
Soviet? Bipedal? You mean Granin?
You know him?
Yeah. I met him at his lab in Russia. He helped me out a little bit.
You met him? What were you?
He was head of the Granin Design Bureau, creator of countless Soviet weapons.
I'd hit a wall in my research at the time. Granin's ideas solved nearly all my problems.
There's nothing unusual about using somebody else's work to further your own research, is there?
As long as you cite it, yeah. But I wasn't in a position to do that. His research was classified at the highest level. Soviet research, no less.
So, you used it without telling anybody?
I wanted to show up my colleagues for once. The ones who never took me seriously. But you reap what you sow. Coldman seized on that vulnerability. Told me if I quit the project, he'd expose my larceny.
He had you by the balls, Doc. How'd you get your hands on Granin's research?
That was also Coldman. He used his agency contacts to get a hold of it.
Giving you stolen information, then using it to blackmail you. Damn.
I knew it was Granin's work the minute I saw it. See, I'd been corresponding with him for a while.
Corresponding?
Letters. Between scientists doing the same kind of research. He always complained that nobody understood his ideas on bipedal locomotion.
So you're the American friend he was talking about.
Obviously, he didn't write a word about the technology in his letters, except for one time. If by chance anything should happen to me, I entrust my research to you. Better that than handing it over to these ignorant so-called scientists.
Sounds like him, all right.
Then one day, his papers actually came. It wasn't hard for me to imagine what had happened to him. I felt it was my duty to carry on his work after him. And also...
What?
I thought maybe combining his technology with mine could be a way to bring East and West together, like the docking of Apollo and Soyuz.
It'll never make the history books, and it's still not a reason to plagiarize.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I never had the courage to tell the truth, that's all. I always looked for excuses to cover it up.
Until now.
Huh?
You told me everything. You're no longer a coward.